Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our regular Sunday meeting. It's 6 o'clock now, and today will be a very interesting talk that we are going to have from an expert in the world who will talk about a very relevant subject for us in Sri Lanka. We all know Sri Lanka is now in an economic crisis. You all know that. But on top of that, now we got a double whammy. We got a power crisis as well, because we cannot produce enough power to generate the support energy that we need for Sri Lanka. This is going to get worse in the recent times because of the Ukraine versus Russia war. The cost of fuel has gone up in Sri Lanka. The dollar, the rupee has devalued, and the cost of fuel could even be 5 times more than what it is now with the influence of the war. So if there's no power, we have no transport, everything gets delayed, the machines cannot work, so the industry is stuck, and no light, so all work halted, and that actually hits productivity. So in this respect, solar power has a massive place because we got enough sunlight as a tropical country to produce energy. So if we have more solar power, we have no need for imported fossil fuels. That means there's more power cuts, saves dollars, and reduce costs. We'll be reducing our wastage. We'll be increasing our productivity. The two things that we need to rescue our country from the current problem. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor I.M. Dharmadasa today. He is a senior staff grade professor of applied physics and leads the electronic materials and solar energy group at Sheffield Hallam University, UK. He is a graduate of the University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, and completed his PhD in 1980 from Durham by winning an Open Commonwealth Scholarship. He was initially a lecturer at the Department of Physics at the University of Peradeniya. After that, he returned to the UK in 1984 because of his interest in solar energy conversion research. Since then, he has worked on the subject at the University College Cardiff, BP Research Sunbury, and Sheffield Hallam University in the UK. During his 31 years of service at Sheffield Hallam, he has supervised 29 PhD students and claimed 6 patents and published over 250 scientific articles and 3 books in the solar energy field. It's really a pleasure to have him on this platform today. And thereafter, at the end of the time, Professor Dharmadasa is open to answer a few questions. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to deliver this talk. Let me first of all share my presentation. I hope you can see it now. And also let me get the pointer. Right, I'm ready. Thank you for attending. My presentation is Solar Villages for Sustainable Development and Poverty Reduction. During this presentation, some of you may have seen some slides, but during this presentation, I want to introduce the energy production and issues, right solar energy projects for Sri Lanka, background and concept of the solar village, activities and impact of solar villages, gradual replication and future outlook. And this is something new. I want to talk about how to extend solar village model to urban areas. And also, this is very important, future energy scenario for Sri Lanka. I will hope to finish it within 35 to 40 minutes so that we can have a good discussion. About 250 years ago, Industrial Revolution took place mainly due to fossil fuel. And the world established carbon economy. So we are using solid carbon, liquid carbon, and gaseous carbon. So we burn them, we emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So by doing this in a colossal way, we have pumped carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. At the same time, more people means bad news for trees, but the trees are there for our survival. The trees outside absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Their carbon dioxide sinks. Through photosynthesis, it produces our food and gives out oxygen into the atmosphere. It cleans our atmosphere. So it does the same job as our lungs. Our lungs get carbon dioxide from bloodstream and gives oxygen into the bloodstream. Because of the similarity, we call the trees are the lungs of our planet. We know that if we damage our lungs, we die. If we damage our trees, our planet dies. That means the humans can't live on the planet. So because of these carbon dioxide emissions, let me say before that, fossil fuel developed only 2/3 of the world population. That is important to know because about 2 billion people are not connected to the national grid and has polluted the air atmosphere. Hence, we talk about global warming and climate change is here with us, nothing to argue. If you look around in the world, there are areas with too little water. We have desertification, sandstorms, tornadoes, and forest fires. These are damaging effects. If you look into another areas, too much water. That means we have severe floods, disappearing islands, landslides, and storms and hurricanes. So these are the damaging effects of climate change. So what is the solution? Solution is very simple. Go for a sustainable revolution. People have already started. Rapidly introduce clean energy technologies to reduce greenhouse gases. I have 6 green the energy sources, renewable energy sources, but I will focus my talk only on solar. Everything I say is applicable to others as well. The second thing is grow more trees wherever we live around the globe to reabsorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Those are the 2 things we need to do. We can balance the system. So 1 or 2 people can't do it. The whole world community should do it together. And also one other thing we need to remember, renewable energy means energy for all. It is not only 2/3, we can develop the whole world so that rich and poor gap will diminish and a lot of problems in the world will disappear. Now, these are some of the important projects good for Sri Lanka. Solar powered drip irrigation system. Especially for dry zone, we can use solar power, water pumping, drip irrigation. And this is something we really need in the north part of the Sri Lanka. People need to realize now the north of Sri Lanka is becoming a desert slowly. We have to do something now. The sand and palmyra tree means it is becoming a desert. So we have to act now before it is too late. The best thing to do is solar power, pump water, grow more trees. So without trees, we cannot survive. So solar water pumping is a wonderful project for Sri Lanka, especially for dry areas. Solar roof should appear everywhere. This is how Germany came up with solar. We can see that this is one of the solar roofs in Sri Lanka, and it is sad to see that the Sri Lanka is not taking this very quickly so that we can produce our clean energy. And of course, solar farms. The solar farms are now going into 10 megawatts, 100 megawatts, 500 megawatt size. And in fact, This is a solar farm in Germany. We should not cover fertile lands with solar farms, but 1 or 2 should be fine because we need to train electrical engineers. This is the best way to use the land as well. If you are close to the desert, to stop desertification, you can have solar panels installed about 8 feet above the ground, and you can use the shaded area for growing vegetables. So it is a wonderful way of growing food for world population. We have today only 7 billion. It is going to be 9 billion by 2050. So we have to feed these people. This is another application for Sri Lanka suitable. People are talking about it. Floating solar farms are around the globe now. But one caution we need to take, these are good for water reservoirs with water throughout the year and all the time for about 20 years. My experience in the dry zone is most of the water sources in Sri Lanka goes down to the bottom, and the bottom of the reservoir is not very uniform. A lot of hillocks and things, old trees and houses, and when it goes down, it will damage the floating system. So that is the only thing we need to take care. But there are a lot of areas, lagoons around the country with water level, less waves. We can have this kind of solar farms to produce our energy. So those are the good projects for Sri Lanka. Let me go to my main subject, the solar village project. I was working for British Petroleum making solar panels in 1988 and joined Sheffield Hallam University in 1990. I saw the technologies matured, so I started to promote. And this Solar Village and Solar Asia Conference series came from one of my higher education link program with Sri Lanka, and it was funded by the DFID UK and managed by the British Council. So what I did was I started to go to schools around Sheffield in UK, gave a presentation. With the interest I saw from teachers and pupils, I extended that to Sri Lanka. So I applied for a higher education link program. They really loved what I did, and they supported me for 6 years. This is mainly for mobility with 5 universities in Sri Lanka. We completed about 40 senior academic visits between the 2 countries, between Sri Lanka and between my group. During that time, we created a network, huge network within the country, a national network, and also SAREP, South Asia Renewable Energy Project for the region. So the Solar Village comes from this. During this work, I started this from 1991-92. It is nearly 31 years now. So we use 3 words for this project: Solar Village, or Renewable Energy Hub, or CARES. CARES stands for Centers for Application of Renewable Energy Sources. Because of the easiness of reading it, Solar Village was used, but it is a renewable energy hub. You can use whatever it is. CARES is a beautiful name as well. So what is the concept of the Solar Village? For sustainable development and reduction of poverty of any community, 3 features must be fulfilled. The first one is empower the community by establishing a wealth creation method. Without a wealth creation method, you can't remove the poverty from that community. That is not enough. We need to introduce various development projects while guiding them to manage created wealth with full transparency. You understand what I mean by full transparency? Without corruption. If corruption creeps in, development stops. How do we do that? We establish a village development committee. Usually, we ask 50% male and 50% female in this committee to manage and organize development projects. Those are the three things we do. So the first thing is the creation of the wealth creation for that community. Now, this is something one of a child drew me when I was designing this use of solar energy everywhere, solar home systems, street lighting, water pumping, vegetable and animal farming, brick making, and so on. So this is what we were thinking, and tree planting everywhere. And we started this in 2008. We started in Kurunegala district on 7th of September. Some university students, about 80 students, came to this village on the day. This is the system. We started the solar water pumping system. Instead of diesel burning, we use solar. And that way we created wealth for this community. So what's happening? What have we done? What we did was we replaced the diesel powered water pumping by solar pumping system. By doing that, we reduced carbon dioxide emission. We stopped diesel burning. We stopped noise and air pollution. And also we, however small, we started to reduce country's diesel import bill. And the people were collecting, they were paying their water bills. They were collecting about 250,000 rupees per annum. And they were using this money to buy diesel before. Sometimes even this money was not enough. Now, after solar, these funding were left for the community. That's the wealth creation stage. And of course, we asked the VDC to manage this and develop their nursery, village school, library, and the temple. And also we asked to give free water to the temple and the school. And 200 families benefit from these villages. And also we asked if there is a bright child with economic difficulties, give a scholarship. We call these scholarships care scholarships. Development projects via Shramadana. VDC were encouraged to start Shramadana projects for tree planting. It is very important for us to improve the environment. Organic farming, beekeeping for agricultural country, for pollination, to improve crops, road repairs, and so on. So these are the community-based projects people do together. Introducing food packing industry. And also for this pilot project, we worked with the government ministry and we distributed 100,000 high-quality Tommy JC mango plants and 500 beehive boxes to introduce export quality products. These are now coming up. It's about 2-3 years old. Now these mangoes bring some extra income to these families. Our whole aim is to empower people to work with full transparency and escape from poverty traps. That is our aim of this. I don't believe giving everything free to people. And also one other feature of this project is project leaders do not collect or handle funds at all. It's a charity who sponsor it or sponsor keeps the money. We organize the project and they directly pay the cost to the installing company in Sri Lanka. So that is the way we do it. So these are some of the projects, some of the pictures I have taken from that area. This is the primary school, a very dim school. I will say a few things on this. And it really came up. And also I was working during this time with Maldives Islands. Wherever I went, there are posters like this. It attracted me. It said, corruption spreads like a virus unless you stop it. So everyone has to take the responsibility to stop that. Otherwise, it will not happen. So this is that dim school. In fact, today, after that, this is the appearance of that. You can't even identify it. The history of this school is this. This school was built by the villagers, not by the government. It ran for 50 years without tap water, without electricity. Teachers didn't want to go there and stay because it is very difficult to teach there. It is in the dry zone. And the student numbers went down to about 20. And obviously in 2007, the government decided to close the school because you can't run a school for 20 children. This is when the principal of this school came to me, and I was looking for a place to start the solar village, and we started the solar village and completely transformed the school. And when we started this, the project, we started the solar pumping system, and also we provided some electricity into this as well. And the school had the tap water, electricity, and few computers, and the school completely revived. And the student numbers went up to 85. And then, can you see, within the first year, 2008, 2009, there was a building coming up here. This group, the VDC, built the school within 1 year. It is another building for the library and a classroom. So that is what is happening here. Now this school, in fact, every year, I look after 2 solar villages, the pilot and the second one. And every year we go to this school and we have a meeting, and that is the time we discuss with parents. I want to mention here one person. This is Professor Oliver Ile-Peruma. And when I went to this meeting, and he came all the way from Kandy to this place to talk to children. When professors from a university come to a primary school like this, itself boosts children. And this school today, teachers and parents work together. Now this school in this area producing 60% pass rate from scholarship exams. Then we started the second solar village. This is the Noche solar village in 2017. I took some time to study because when you go to the society, there are a lot of issues. So I was facing them, learning them, and studying. That was a learning process for me. And of course, in 2017, we started this by talking to the community leaders first, and then installed a 6 kilowatt solar roof. It cost us 1.7 million rupees. The Helasarana and APSL sponsored it. And this is connected to the national grid using net plus scheme. So the total, for the total power, the VDC get a check. That is the wealth creation step for this community. And the communication is very important. And we also mentioned this solar village as Raja Mehitiya Memorial Solar Village, because Raja was a wonderful person who initiated Helasarana. Helasarana completed 25 years of service, doing various projects in Sri Lanka. So we need to remember this kind of people. They are the people who spend their own money to help people. And this VDC doing extremely well. They work with the local government, and they have a water purification system, a German one. And what they do is they use those funding coming from the solar roof to pump water. They have 2 pumping stations, and they purify water, and they sell that water, purified water, to 7 villages. In that area, kidney diseases are spreading, and therefore, they are selling this water to a nominal fee, and they are very good, in fact, collecting income out of these. And also the funds they have in their VDC account, they use to give microcredits. So that way they have income. I'm very happy to say that 2 years ago, when I talked to them, they have collected 45 lakhs in their VDC account. Just imagine 45 lakhs, 4.5 million rupees in their VDC account. This is a good example for every village in Sri Lanka. If Noche village can do, this is just about 5 miles away from Galgamuwa, the way to Anuradhapura, and they have a lot of problems there, dry zone. The elephants come and destroy their farms, and still they do this way, and that is what we do in this village. So annual visits to Noche Solar Village. I want to spend few important points here. Annual visit to solar villages is very useful for monitoring and guidance, because I normally visit the first one and the second one. This is our chaos center. These villages become chaos. I mentioned chaos centers for application of renewable energy sources or renewable energy hubs. So that is the system. A lot of people come and see it. It is publicizing itself. I normally visit with education packages and motivation certificates. I never go without anything. This is something I do all the time when I go to Sri Lanka. We have also arranged 5 APSL scholarships to children in first 2 solar villages. APSL has a scholarship program, and they get about 4,000 rupees every month until they go to the university. So similar activities take place as in the pilot project. Tree planting, beekeeping, that kind of things happens. And Noche village use funds for microcredits with the community. I already mentioned that. I also mentioned Noche village provide filtered clean drinking water for 7 surrounding villages for a nominal fee. And this is something I mentioned. They have already accumulated for 4.5 million rupees in their VDC account. This is the way to develop our country. 70% of the people in the country live in villages. People need to learn from this and start this kind of projects. One other thing I suggested to them during a visit, why don't you give 1 or 2 care scholarships to the poorest children in the village? They surprised me by doing, next time when I went, they arranged 174 education packages for all pupils. There were 174 school-going children in the village. They used some money. They prepared education packages. 174 education packages were ready when I went there. It was amazing. About 300 people were there, and it is motivating children to study. At the end, they surprised me as well. They gave me a souvenir. Can you see? This is the souvenir I received. They were so smart to go to the website and find my photograph and use the photograph. And I'm sure they must have used a teacher somewhere, and they produce a poem. You can't read this, so I have reproduced it here. It says, "Tribute for a mission. When our children drink pure water, we hear your kind voice speaking to them. Once the scorching sun withered our lives, the same sun enlightened our lives today, giving pure water for all our generations to come. Thank you, Honorable Dharmadasa, for making our generations." It is not to me. This thanks should go to APSL and Helasarana charities. They are the people who sponsored it. I was simply in the middle making this happen. So this is the quality of our village people. Can you see? We have to simply empower them. They do wonders. And we have a lot of intelligent people. We need to help them. So the third solar village came in Pulmude, and In fact, a retired gentleman spent 1.5 million rupees. He lives in Australia now, and it is simply providing that income is providing to improve the infrastructure destroyed in that area. This is another one we have done, 4th Solar Village in Putiyanagar. And this is the community hall. This is the solar roof we have created, the same thing. And we have one person to communicate with them from our APSL. I look after only 2. For each of these solar villages, there are people who look after, communicate with them, monitoring and guiding them. This is the one we completed last October in Monaragala, and we installed this solar roof on the school. So 30% of the income goes to provide water to this school, 200 children, they didn't have tap water, and the 70% goes to the community to develop the community. So this is what we have completed, 5 now. In fact, what is the future outlook and expectations? We hope to gradually replicate this project with donations until political leaders pick up for national development projects. Currently, we are working on 5 such projects. In fact, 2 donors came, and I had a surprise telephone call from Brother Charles. He loves this project. He is working on Panama village. He's installing 3 solar roofs on 3 schools. So at the moment, we are working on 5. This project embeds 13 out of 17 UN SDGs. So it is a wonderful way to mitigate climate change, develop needy people, and reduce poverty. What I suggest is every university and well-established school should start a solar village as a social science lab to produce citizens with social responsibilities. Universities can produce graduates with social responsibilities. Solar islands, I was working with Maldives Islands for 6 years during HE Link program, and we were establishing solar islands there. Also, I have visited Nigeria on a UK-Nigeria delegation, 108 universities represented. And I said, I can train people at PhD level. We can start solar villages in Nigeria. We can start Solar Africa to go with Solar Asia conference series. They loved it, and they sent me 6 lecturers with their own scholarships to complete PhDs. 5 of them are now completed back in the country. 1 is still with me. Eventually, my dream is the mushrooming of solar villages around the globe, and our planet becomes one global solar village. Let me come to a couple more ideas here. This is important. This is completely new. How to extend solar villages or chaos or renewable energy hubs to urban areas. Sometimes people think this is only for villages. No, we can extend that to urban areas. This is one example I'm giving. One method is by crowdfunding. When you go to urban areas, 1 lakh is nothing for a well-developed family. As an example, 9 participants contribute 1 lakh each and install 5 kilowatt solar roof under Net Plus scheme. Total cost today is 9 lakhs. This is just one example. Simple payback period is 3.5 to 6 years. I have written a paper, and these are well-established data collected from Sri Lanka itself. So within 5 years, shall we say, within 5 years, contributors receive their total funds spent on the project. Next 2 years, CEB pays 22 rupees per unit. So there is 150,000 per annum to share between 9 people. And next 13 years, 15 rupees per unit, 118,000 per annum is available to share. Can you see? Somebody can do a calculation by contributing to that. What you do is, while you enjoy a continuous profitable income, good citizens could help in developing the nation with a safe energy source. PV for peace. No one can attack it. This is how German citizens contributed using crowdfunding to establish solar energy use in Germany. I'm asking, are you ready for similar ventures in Sri Lanka to help the nation? It is the time we need to work together. So let me show you the future world's energy scenario. We have the carbon economy now. People have seen a lot of problems. People are now working to get carbon neutral economy. And then people don't stop there. They are going towards hydrogen economy because we don't want carbon at all. Green hydrogen, this is what all people always grumble about. Solar is intermittent, only during daytime. Wind is only during windy time. So that is the intermittence. How do you remove that intermittency? Use this energy whenever they are available to break down water molecules to produce hydrogen. To break down water molecules, you need only 1.2 volts DC. 1.2. So with the system waste, you need only 1.5 volts. You can produce hydrogen. Now people are producing large scale electrolyzers to produce hydrogen. And when you need, burn hydrogen and get the energy. So there is no intermittence then. Now this is my last slide, in fact, future Sri Lankan energy scenario. I have divided this into 3. After a application, after a article we have written recently, we have seen so many emails flying around. Sri Lanka should go for thorium nuclear plants because we have thorium in the country. Thorium is everywhere. And yes, thorium nuclear plants are better than uranium nuclear plants. But do we have enough funding for research? Research can go on for about 1 decade. Commercialization is a different issue. In the university, you can do research, you can write papers, that is it. Academics can't do commercialization. Technologists should come and do prototyping and then build a nuclear power plant. To build a nuclear power plant, you need at least 1 decade and you need billions of dollars. And also, there is no thorium commercial plant in the world yet. How do we do it in Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka does not have few decades to spend or billions of dollars needed. Why do we talk about this? People are wasting their time. We should not, this is a dream. It is trying to build a mansion in the sky. I don't know why educated people spend time on this kind of debate. This is a no-go area for Sri Lanka. And also, please remember, this is the time the political leaders bomb nuclear plants. Do we need this kind of nuclear plants in Sri Lanka? There are a lot of dangers in that. Number 2, people always talk about MENA gas oil exploration. This goes back to 1970s. In 1971-72, my colleagues, my batchmates joined this exploration. And we heard the same story again and again for 50 years now. But when is it going to happen? And exploration is not yet completed. And delivery time could be over 2 decades. And obviously, I work for an oil company, British Petroleum. They will never touch a deposit if it is not large enough for them to have a huge sum of money back. Otherwise, they will not touch it. Even if they touch it, then what can happen is they could work with people in the country, and few people will get the benefits. Those money will be in banks in outside the country, and the general public will not get the benefits. That's the danger. We need to learn from Nigeria. Nigeria had the same thing. The oil started to flow, the war started, because most of the money went to few people's bank accounts outside the country. General public was suffering. And also, please remember, now the world is working to move away from fossil fuels. What people are saying now is, let us develop a world without fossil fuel, world with renewables. So it's perhaps too late. That is number two. So number three, what is our choice? Our choice is use an energy technology mix to power the country. This is what we need to use. We need to use fossil fuels. What we have now, that is in amber, I will come back to later. Hydropower, we are very lucky. We have about 35% hydropower. We need to gradually increase, convert every water stream to create power. Solar, wind, biomass, these are green energy. And when we need to have a clear and long-term energy production plan for the country. What we need to do, accelerate introduction of renewables, improve water management, that is just to have hydropower. And when time comes, gradually phase out fossil fuel. We are not opposing it. We need to use our coal power plants now. We need to manage it properly. We need to repair it properly. We need to produce energy until these things provide enough energy for the whole country. Within another 5 years, hydrogen will come. Hydrogen will be look after solar and wind, and that will remove the intermittence of solar and wind. So it is not wise to build new fossil fuel plants. Solar and wind are well established, and hydrogen produced by water splitting will be the future energy storage and energy carrier. Delivery time is only 1 or 2 years. Solar and wind can be installed. Solar can be installed within few months, depending on the size. So that is what we think. We have to live with what we have. Don't dream impossibles here. This is, I don't know, I have a big question mark there, and this is what we have to do. So we have to work together. And in fact, we wrote an article with my 2 colleagues, Professor Lakshman Disanayak and Professor Ileperuma, role of solar energy in overcoming Sri Lanka's energy crisis. I think with this, I will stop. This is my thank you slide. This is our sun. This is our planet. What we need to do is harvest the sun to save the planet, help the poor, and secure our future. Your contributions are highly welcome for this collective effort. I have finished my 40 minutes, and I am happy to discuss anything with you all. Thank you.
Dharmadasa, it was a fantastic talk, and it's a tested project that you are proposing, solar villages. And I can only be grateful that people take advantage of this and come forward and say, even if you want to form a committee and take it forward, we are quite happy to. I'm sure Professor Dharmadasa and all others will be happy to help you to form such projects in the country. It's not related to just villages. It can be done in urban areas as well. So it's time to discuss, and we have new forms of communication these days online. So wherever we are, we can meet and advise and discuss and so on. And also we can publish your work starting from the establishment of committees on a website so that everybody will see your work transparently and how it's developing, because it will be advisory for the others as well who wants to do it and who are frightened for it. So it's a real time that we really commit ourselves individually. There's no need for politicians to back this up. If they want to back up, then that's fantastic. And we can do it for ourselves and transparently as well. So we got 50 minutes for questions and answers. So please come forward and answer any questions and clarify anything from Professor Dharmadas at this point. And I'm only more grateful to you all, and particularly Professor Dharmadas and his team, for bringing us this knowledge to Sri Lanka.
Hi, Chula. My name is Lakmal Fernando. I'm a person involved in the renewable energy sector in Sri Lanka, and I know Dharma quite well. My question is, now we all know how important the renewable energy sector in Sri Lanka, and how important for us to roll out with this long-term strategy that we have been planning. But unfortunately, our monopoly utility does not understand this. When you look at the 2021, the long-term generation plan, what they have had was less than 50% renewable energy, including the large hydro, which is about 33%. So when we are looking at a 70% renewable energy economy by 2030, and probably another adding about another 30% by 2050, I think the biggest problem that we have is not the strategy. The problems that we have is, the monopoly utility that is controlling and pulling strings for the government for them to not to do it more than any other reason. So I think this is the biggest problem that we have here. You and I all can remember long before the Sri Lanka Telecom was deregularized, how much we used to pay to make a call to UK. We used to pay something like 230 rupees, but now it is virtually zero. So deregularizing the utility is number one to get the right policy in. This is a 300 billion rupees Sri Lankan economy. When it comes to energy sector, you all know, as of today, our energy cost is about 25 rupees per kilowatt hour. This is going to be 45 rupees by the month of April. So even if we increase the energy prices to the consumer by 100%, we are still going to make losses. So I believe this is a bigger problem that we will have to address. I know, Dharmesh, the concept of bringing this into the grassroots level of the village economy, it's a very good thing for us to do. But the big picture is certainly different. The big picture, we will have to, look at the policy level changes in utility. We will have to introduce energy wheeling. We will have to introduce, restructuring of Ceylon Electricity Board. This is the only way forward where we can bring in this much needed renewable energy to the national grid. We all know that, the energy requirement in Sri Lanka is growing by 6.5% to 7% every year. But have we planned for this? No, we have not. So it is not.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lakmal, for your comment. You know that I started this promotional work 31 years ago. I never stopped it. I saw these barriers all the time, but I think within the country, within the administration, these barriers should be removed. Otherwise, people are in the dark for seven hours per day now. So that is the reason. People have to take action, remove the barriers, and go forward. Otherwise, we will go down and down.
Yeah, I mean, Lakmal, I think it's a very good suggestion, and also the practical problems that you bring up. And I've come across this problem before when I was working in Peradeniya, trying to establish, say, various education programs. So the crucial thing is to change the masses and their views, and then the top will change. Unfortunately, top-down projects are useless in a way these days because the establishment of top-down projects are not transparent at the moment. So we don't know how much public money is going into corruption. So here is an opportunity. We start from the bottom and then go up. So small groups can form and have at least their economy sorted slowly. But when the masses change, that is why I volunteered to publicize all these projects separately so they can communicate and the others can get to know. And when the masses change their voice, the top will have to change their strategy. Yeah. So that is what we should do. We have done that before and we can do it again. And I'm pretty sure at the moment, given the demand, this is possible. And we just have to be open to direct people to how to do it. And then we will get there. And it's a rapid project as well. I mean, within few months, if people, committees are interested, they'll be able to establish these and net the profits for them. So, I mean, one thing we can shout about is probably ask to allow to import panels duty-free, for example. Why not? It's a good.
It's already duty-free.
It's already duty-free. So that's fantastic if that's the case. So let's see how people come forward and give as much publicity as possible. This is a practical, worthwhile project. It's already shown by Professor Dharmadas in Sri Lanka. So it's about time that we try and publicize that and get people to get engaged.
There are two hands up, Kirti, Devendra, and Atula Sumatipale. Kirti, go ahead, Kirti. Yeah.
So there are a number of facts coming out of this discussion. I'm just trying to make some sense of all these facts because everybody is telling the truth. They are all telling the truth, but sometimes the truth is a combination of all the factors. Now, first of all, thank you very much, Dharmi, for initiating these projects and pushing them forward. They are definitely useful. They are definitely beneficial. They definitely serve the purpose of the society. But at the same time, working at village level or even town level, it only covers a very small proportion of the energy demand or energy production. So we have to find a way to implement it at a much, much larger scale. And I think Chula has suggested that. Of course, to get that happen, we have to influence the government, but to influence the government, we have to motivate the people. If the people start asking for that, I think it will automatically happen. So that's one way to do it. But at the same time, somebody needs to develop a strategy, how to implement at a very large scale. Dharma has come up with a strategy which implements it in a small scale. That's brilliant. That can be expanded. But at the same time, we have to recognize that we can use solar energy to produce a huge amount of energy and satisfy a huge amount of the energy demand in the Sri Lanka. So that needs careful thinking, that needs careful planning. I'm only suggesting that. So let's think about it. I'm happy. So thank you very much indeed for giving me the opportunity. So I'll stop there because I'll let Atula to take over.
Thank you, Kirti. Atula.
Yeah, thanks, Dharma. Now, I just wanted to say two things. Thanks again, Dharma. What I think, what we need to do, think tanks has to also be social movements. That's where the thing can be taken to the public. And you all may not know, Lakmal has, done all that, they have association, they have sort of done the fighting with the politicians and all that. There are a lot of implementation bottlenecks. But I think, Dharma, you have very clearly shown it's a local demonstration project with very, very clear evidence. Now, we need to voice it. I'm a strong believer in incremental changes. What I want to say, I have already communicated to Dharma and to Lakmal. We have our trilingual journal, Gaveshana, which this issue was dedicated to curriculum changes, which will come up within the next 2 weeks. And after that, Chula, we are planning to do a Gaveshana trilingual journal, special volume on renewable energy. And I want to actually include what Dharma said. And we come up with a strategy, a national document, providing scientific arguments and also addressing the challenges, as Lakmal said, because I mean, they will, I'm sure, you know, be incremental. We are not going to change the whole thing overnight, but let's do that. So I just wanted to tell Dharmesh. So it's an open invitation. Anybody else wants to contribute, I'll spread the message through Chula as well. I have already spoken to Lakmal. He has a very large group of friends, colleagues, and he's, I think, the secretary of the Renewable Energy Association or something like that. Is the top official, Lakmal. So we'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank you
think
very
it's
much, Atul.
fantastic. Thank you, Atula, because we all need to work in the way we can, because we all know the resources we have, and then collectively try and promote this practical project. The masses will turn by word of mouth, because that's the way the people start believing Sri Lanka. And I've got another hand raised by Ananda. Ananda, is he there? Ananda? Okay, wait, maybe he's not there, or some communication problem. So anyway, so we have our email addresses. You all can send emails and we can get this started. Even if it's a small group, just let us know. We'll create a small page or something for you all, so that you all can communicate between each other and then take it forward. Because even forming a committee is good enough. 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, I'm sure we'll be able to adapt to the local situations, isn't it, Professor Dharme? I mean, you can probably finalize your plans.
Well, this is simply, you know, starting a project, designing a project, doing it and showing the impact. And I'm very happy that we have done 5 projects now in the country. At the moment, we are working on 5 of them. I was so pleased to receive a call from Brother Charles at 4:30 in the early morning from Sri Lanka. And we were on the phone for 1 hour. And he's somebody who loves this project, because he looks at the right people, solar energy, freely available energy. He is installing 3 solar roofs in Panama village cluster. So it is a matter of education. I have been doing the projects and promoting it, educating people. It is up to people to listen and think and do the right things. Now, there are ways of taking this model to urban areas. That is where the middle class people are. They can afford it very easily. If they want to contribute to the development of the country, they have the way to do it.
Tell me, can I add something here?
Please.
Yeah. Now, I just had a glimpse of what you have been giving in terms of costs of different projects. And now, when we look at the last few months and last few days developments in the local and the global context, now the cost of material and everything has had a major impact on the change of payback terms in the Sri Lankan context. I believe this is a standard thing that had happened world over, but due to the major devaluation of Sri Lankan rupee, it had come into an inevitable stage. We will have to discuss about a tariff revision for the net plus net accounting and of course net metering. You don't need a tariff revision. So these two is in discussion right now. Now, in fact, I have proposed this to the highest level of the government over the last week. Because what you have mentioned for a 5 kilowatt system is about 900,000, but in technically it's about 1.3 million today.
Lakmal, I fully agree, because it is mainly because of the rupees going down. So
not only that, Dharme, because the China has basically reduced production by 50%,
right,
due to the energy problem in China itself.
Right.
So the watt of panels, kilowatt of panels that we were buying at the rate of something like about say 18 to 23 cents. Yeah. Now we are buying at about 33 cents. So we are having a boomerang effect on overall on this issue. One side we are getting the expensive raw material cost, and on the other side we are getting the rupee devaluation, say about 60% devalued rupee. Yeah, yeah. No doubt, world is changing and we have to change. What I have been indicating was the cost of those projects. And obviously,
with the devaluation of rupees and various other reasons, these figures will change.
They were right, you know, when you look at about say 2.5 years ago, they were right. But in the today's concept, the numbers are changing on daily basis.
Yeah.
Now our quotations are given for 2 days. These
Yeah.
are for, you know, billion rupee projects, not for, you know, 100,000, 1 million projects. Billion rupee projects, our quotations are for 2 days.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Can I come in and make a comment on that one?
Sure.
Go ahead,
Yeah, please,
Kirti.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a very valid point that was raised. The costs have gone up tremendously. But at the same time, I believe in a very short period of time, the energy prices will go up. So therefore, the payback would still be very similar. From the cost to investment to income basis, I believe the same ratios will be upheld or even be better in the coming months. That is my expectation.
Can I add something there, Kirti? Now, you know, right now, the CEB's energy cost is 23 rupees per kilowatt hour, right? And their sale price, average sale price is 16 rupees per kilowatt hour. So even if the CEB's energy price goes up by 100%, still it's not going to be a viable situation for the country. We are looking at coal imported for $180 per ton, as against $405 per ton with the next 7 shipments to come in. So our 25 rupees average is very, very heavily based on, you know, the coal imported at the rate of $180 per ton. So you can imagine, anyone can imagine, when the majority of the energy sector, which is about 63% of the energy sector, is coming from by way of fossil fuels. So this is hitting ever high. So with this coming in, our energy prices are going to cost us basically 45 rupees. So at a cost of 45 rupees, even if we increase the energy prices by 3-fold, we are still going to be making losses. So these are the inherent issues that we will have to look at when it comes to the energy market in Sri Lanka.
I think as the final word, perhaps I will say, energy market is very volatile. Energy market is going to go up and up and up. If you stick to fossil fuels, it's going to go up because the world is going to get rid of fossil fuel. And finally, coming to my projects, what I have introduced here, yes, cost will vary depending on those factors, but the impacts and the development values will not change. So people have to look at that. Yes, the cost will change. 9 lakhs will become 12 lakhs. But that cost doesn't matter. The impact for development of people is definite in these projects. That's all I want to say.
Fully agree, Dharme. Fully agree.
That's true. So we keep our professional community together, and we can always overcome the problems if we are together. I mean, we should, that's part of being academics, isn't it, Professor Dharme? Overcoming problems through research and so on. So we should be able to get through. And then I think we will have to publicize. It's probably a good idea to have a Renewable Energy Sri Lanka forum, so people, you know, express all these problems in one place so people can see what's going on and so on. So thank you. I think we passed the time now. So it's time to conclude, and thank you for participation. And please communicate if you think we can go forward or if you want any suggestions, etc. Professor Dharamdas, fantastic, and thank you. And I'm so grateful for you being here.
Thank you very much, Chula. Thank you for organizing this.
Thanks.
Right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.